I'm back again just to do another video. Today I kind of want to talk about my first grade year of elementary. Well, at the time, uh, in first grade, I made like a video. 4 years ago I made a video a long way back, but no one watched the video except for me. It's not like now. Well, anyways, first in my first grade year, I was very shy and a quiet kid who didn't talk much at all. And at the time, I was looking at movies, starting looking at like movies and stuff like that. At the time, I was looking at Twister, Independence Day, Poseidon, and I was getting into Pokemon in '06. This was when I was 7. And I used to go to Hollywood Video and Blockbuster a lot to rent out DVDs and VHS tapes. And I remember that I used to watch Pokemon a lot in first grade, from the Johto League and the original Pokemon series. We had the VHS tapes of it a lot. But during first grade, uh, we went to like this. At first grade, we didn't go to the school that I went for kindergarten at all. We went to the and that place is now boarded up. It's been boarded up for like 10, 13, 14 years. It was the school like down the street, like a mile, 2 miles, or 3 miles from here, like near the train tracks. We went there and we played. There was no playground there, but we just ran around and the girls played double dutch and pretty much I used to read books time and time again there. But we were only there for 2 months. And why we were there was the school was flooded, pretty much. That's why we went to this school over here, to just be there for 2 months. So the time I was there, I kept getting in trouble a lot because, for my mistake, because every time I went to daycare, I would open the door and I wasn't supposed to open the door for anybody. So they would sneak. They would not tell me about it. They would give me about it the next day. I kept doing it, but I didn't know any better. I was only 7 years old. So I remember that like one time I did it. Like they forced me to sit in the front. They didn't force me to sit in the back like where the other kids were at after school. And they just ranted and raved and all of that. And only I could do was just like bear the argument and all of that. So back in the time, during the time after I come from home for school, daycare would pick me up on on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Friday. Monday and Wednesday they don't pick me up. I just go home. That's the routine has always been, and it continued to that all the way to like after seventh grade, and it stopped after seventh grade because I got older. And I kept coming to daycare because they were the kindest people to me, and they treat me with respect. And like most people who go to daycare, they don't stay pretty long. They probably only stay there for 2 years and they're gone. For me, I stayed there from 2003 to 2013 because daycare is pretty much is in the city, and because I live in the county and I go out to the city. There is this 3-story house Actually, this 2-story house. They have an attic. It's pretty much 3 stories. On the first floor, this is just normal. It has TV screens and rooms. Downstairs in the basement is where the daycare at. That's where we hang out. We play with toys and all of that. We would go there. We would go upstairs and look at like Dr. Phil, because I've been knowing about Dr. Phil since like when I was 7, because my daycare would watch Dr. Phil before we go downstairs. And and I remember like October, like the class that I was in. I don't remember too much about my class that I was in, except there was like 9 of us, or 10 or 11 of us. We would like we would play with toys, go outside, and we would watch movies. One of them is Wizard of Oz. I saw that when I was 7, and I was terrified of Wizard of Oz. Everyone else, they just watched that and didn't say a word or anything. Sometimes they would laugh at such certain scenes. I wasn't laughing. I was terrified of Wizard of Oz, and I was continued terrifying it all the way after high school. I couldn't watch the movie and sit down with it. When it was on, I just look away and I go to another room. I couldn't handle Wizard of Oz. But I know Wizard of Oz is an all-time classic, pretty much, and all that. But it terrified me because of the Wicked Witch and the tornado scene that was in it. Because back in the 7 years old, I used to be terrified of weather a lot as a young boy. So the moment rain comes and I hear some wind, I get terrified. It continued that until like 5th grade-ish. I stopped. Or 4th grade, somewhere between there. Anyways, we saw the Snowman movie. It came out in 1982. I didn't figure that out until I was like in 12th grade, since I would remembered it and just looked it up. And I found out it had a second movie, which I didn't know. The song from the Snowman movie remained in my mind from 1st grade when I first heard it all the way to now. It never turned off in my mind. It always stayed back of my mind for decades and decades to come. Because how beautiful and emotional the soundtrack was. And I remember we went to like the trips we went to the Magic House. Then we went to the Pumpkin Patch. We went to like, I don't remember the trips too much. I used to remember all the trips we did, but I don't remember too much at all nowadays. So or I'll have to just look in my diary again that I did a decade, almost 7 years ago, all by my life. I'll probably have to look in there. I remember like there was no fights in the 1st grade at all. I used to did a lot of some of the cringy stuff in like 1st grade. Everyone has done cringy stuff back in their younger years. I just know that. We all been there. So I remember we had the ice storm that happened in 1st grade. What happened was there was this ice storm that came in December, and and it just wiped out the power lines, and there was no power. So we went from this house to the house in like the city, which was Baden, Riverview, somewhere near Baden, which is the city. And at this house, because this house didn't have power. Then we moved from that house because there was something wrong with that house to another house, and and what happened is that there was like we stayed there, and we stayed there for like a year, pretty much. But after that, we moved out of that house and went back to this house. We were constantly moving when I was kids. When I was like 7 to 12 years old, we were constantly moving because there was problems with this house, oh, especially for that time. So I don't really remember the end of first grade too much, except I want to see what next year was going to be like. You know, the adventures of that, and now first grade is coming to almost 20 years at this point, because I was like a late. I was born in '99, and I'm glad I experienced the early 2000s and the 2000s themselves, because we did activities like the 2000s, like uh, like we would do some events for Halloween and Christmas, and but we don't, and but people don't do it nowadays. Though it's totally different with this generation. But there you have it. That was really my first grade experience and first grade in general. I'll see you in the next video, which is coming up after this.